Satnam. I'm Lillian Savoy here with my very special guest today, my dad. And I'm very excited to talk to him. I had no idea he wanted to be on the podcast, and he has lots of good information for us. I'm going to introduce him first. Bob Shelton is your full formal name, right?
No, it's Robert Shelton.
But then you have lots of
Yeah,
nicknames.
a lot of nicknames.
Okay, so Bobby,
That'll work.
Pops,
Yes,
and Daddy-O,
absolutely.
and any others I'm forgetting?
No, I think you've hit them all.
Okay. So I have my podcast studio today broadcasting in his kitchen. And the reason why is because he is, let's see, how old are you these days, Dad?
78.
Okay, 78, and he is in a full wheelchair, decked out to the max with Team Gleason gear. I'm looking at your headrest right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, blessed Team Gleason.
So we'll talk about that.
Yep.
We'll definitely talk about that today. We're going to talk about some ADA stuff. We're going to talk about travel and getting out. And even though we have limitations and you have to be creative to get out and travel. And so, Pops, I'm going to turn it over to you. What is the biggest thing that our listeners need to know for today about you and the state that you're in?
Okay. Great question, Lil. Listeners, this is my first podcast, so please don't judge me, but hopefully we'll go over some great information for you to use when you're thinking about traveling. I think one of the key elements, or it's key, but I think what we need to think about is how long do you want to sit in that chair doing nothing? I'm in a power wheelchair. It is decked out. I've got little flashing lights, everything to keep me amused. But the thing is that 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with ALS, which I didn't know what it would do to my body. But as most people know, it's not, it's not a good thing to have. Every person that has ALS goes through a different transformation of their body. So mine, being 12 years, I sat in this chair for a good 4 years, but realizing that that's all we're doing, just sitting around watching TV, and that's not what I wanted to do. Was a very active person in golf, and tennis, and fishing. Getting in and out of boats was great in the past. Now I can't do it at all. So the thing that I looked at is let's be creative. Since I do need full-time care, my sticker to my body is my lovely wife, my caregiver, my beautiful person that understands my needs. So we started out by, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to
Okay.
give a shout out to
Okay.
Granny.
Yep.
And Granny, y'all have been married for how many years? 39, 38, 40?
Excuse me, I was taking a sip of coffee. 38 years.
Okay, so 38 years. So Granny, when you took your vows for sickness and in health, for better or for worse, Granny has signed herself up for a full-time job, like you said.
That she didn't know
That she didn't know was coming. So it's been really a journey in your marriage, don't you think? To be, because you were active all the time. I mean, we would go on the boat every weekend. You'd take us tubing and fishing, and we'd travel to the beach and we'd travel to the mountains. I mean, y'all did everything. And you camped, you RV camped until you couldn't anymore. And we'll talk
get in
about
or
that.
out of the camper. Yeah.
But I just want to give a shout out to Granny because a lot of people aren't as fortunate to have a full-time caregiver that is their actual spouse, right?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, that's just a title for her, but she's got many hats to wear, and I love her for doing so.
So do you have, anyone that you recommend, like if they're in a chair and they don't have a spouse or a wife to take care of them, how did you find out about, what was out there for you? Like, I know Team Gleason has been a huge part of your journey.
The Gleason Foundation has been a super start of my journey. I followed this Saints player, Steve Gleason, who has ALS, and actually he's was diagnosed about 13 years ago.
Okay.
But he is in a wheelchair and is not able to do anything for himself, bathe, drink, eat, you know,
And he has his spouse taking care of him too, right?
yes,
Yeah,
Michelle.
Michelle.
What a wonderful person. But he also has a team.
He has a team now. Yes.
And, but the thing that interests me is that first I bought his book. And
Is that No White Flags?
no,
Or is that not the
I'll
book
get the
title?
information for
Okay,
you
we'll put
later
it
on
in the
that.
link for you.
Yeah, but reading his book gave me a hint as to what he was doing, but primarily he was traveling. So with my past RV ownership and campers and all this outing stuff that I did, I realized that that's what I wanted to do. So I contacted a foundation that he had set up, the Gleason Foundation, who really provides equipment and ideas and just all kind of support for persons with ALS
And versions of ALS
and
or
versions of ALS. I
okay,
mean, ALS is just
the beginning of it,
the
right?
beginning of it,
Yeah.
right? And you really don't know what's down the road until it actually happens to you.
Yeah.
So
Which we're all alike in that way,
yeah, the
right?
thing that scared me or they helped me with was talking to my grandkids later on when I lose my speech. So
Is that what they think will happen? You will eventually
that's
lose your speech?
yes. And voice banking was one of their main ideas for me. And so I was able to record my voice and various phrases and sayings and little pops, thoughts and comments that I made in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we recorded it, we banked it. And then when I lose my voice, we'll have it there. Not one of these robot talking voices, but
Your actual
my
voice?
actual voice. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
That is cool. So where is it stored? Like, is it in some computer waiting
It's
until
yes, it's in a
okay.
let's call it a vault of some sort
Yeah.
of computers, hardware that has all these voices stored, and when the time comes, they activate the computer that it will be attached to my chair. I already have one for regular internet usage and stuff, and
So can anybody use this? It doesn't have to be people with ALS or I know that's their main concern, like you said, because you know you'll lose your voice
I think there are
eventually.
outlets out there that has
Voice
voice
bank.
banking.
Okay.
The VA does voice banking.
Okay. Good to know.
So anyone that's a veteran out there, thank you for your service. Or any of your grandparents or parents that have a disability that maybe will have voice loss and they're a veteran, the VA is a great place to start. Uh, Persons with ALS, the Gleason Foundation is a place to start. I am totally not positive about other outlets out there, even though I'm convinced that there should be, and I just haven't researched it. So,
Yeah. Okay.
if you have a question, just get a hold of Lil, and she'll.
Well, what about the VA for you, Dad? So you were a veteran or
Yes,
are a veteran,
yes.
right? And so what'd you do back in the day?
As a veteran,
Uh
I was with the Army,
huh. Okay. All right.
Green Beret Special Forces,
Okay.
attached to the National Guard, and we just did things.
Okay. Well, obviously, we can't talk about those
That's right.
things. But also, I think um, the VA is there for people with disabilities,
Yes.
right? And we know that they're there for because, we see it advertised and stuff, but to really reach out and have, a person holding your hand through this time,
Yeah.
right? You kind of forget, right? I remember you even forgetting for like the first 5 years. You're like, oh, yes, there are people that can help me.
And that's what's the hard part, but really easy. You have to do a little research.
Hmm.
You have to know people that are veterans. You have to know people that have a disabling disease,
Yeah, disease.
and you need to talk to them.
Hmm.
What are you doing? How'd you get that? And all that. So I guess I started off first with since I'm in a wheelchair, I started off with a van that has a retracting ramp that gets me up into the van, and I roll up in, and they strap me down.
They meaning granny.
Granny, can be a one person job.
It can be. Yeah.
Uh, four straps to my wheelchair, and I'm strapped in through a seat belt and the seat belt to the van, and we're ready to go travel. So that's fun.
Now, we just got back from Key West.
Yes.
We had a family trip down there and it was really fun. We thought about you. I wore your hat, Pop's Toy, which was the name of your fishing boat way
Yeah.
back then. So, in honor of you not being able to go fishing, we went fishing
That's sweet.
with you in spirit. And then to top it off, we took a van accessible, or not van accessible, disabled vet accessible or handicap accessible van, and from the airport to our resort. And the guy was showing me, I said, "Oh, my dad has a van like this." And he was kind of showing me that not only is it the passenger that can be rolled in and zipped down, but also the driver. He was showing me how, depending on if you have access in your hands and some extremities, like you can put the driver in the front seat too and they can drive.
Yes, actually, the seats in my van,
Hmm.
actually, it's a Honda. It's a Honda.
Yeah, it's a sweet ride.
Yeah, and it's just has the ramp in it, but the front seats come out. So if I want to be a passenger one day in the front seat, so to speak,
You
I
could.
pull the seat out and I just roll up through the side of the van, move into the passenger seat. If my steering wheel and brakes and all that were ADA compliant and modified, then I would be able to drive if you have moving legs and arms, which I don't.
Yeah,
So
you've
I,
moved
I'm
past that.
I'm the best supervising backseat driver in the world.
Yeah, how's Granny's driving skills?
Uh, we're working on it, actually.
So we came from a family of road tripping, right? We road tripped.
Yes, we did.
Okay, I am married to someone who does not like road trips very much. He likes to fly, but I remember us growing up, we always had road trips. And you definitely always drove the whole time, all the time.
I Yeah, I wouldn't
So
have it any other way.
yeah, so it's been probably a big ego blow
Woo.
for you to have an
But you
actual
only
to actually have a driver.
I'm limited to what I can say without upsetting the driver, because without my driver, I don't go anywhere. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we we use discretion.
Hey, so that's a big lesson for you. And it's been interesting being your daughter and witnessing this change with you having to go from, like, the power figure in the family, right? And the fun one, and Cindy always going along with things and her planning trips too. And
Yep,
and y'all were a power couple,
we
right?
were. Oh,
And
absolutely.
she had ideas, you had ideas, and you swapped back and forth, and
That was it.
yeah,
Teamwork.
teamwork. And now do you feel like you sit back and kind of let her plan, or
Oh no,
do you still plan?
absolutely.
Well, tell us about the cruise, not the one that just happened, but tell us about the cruise that you went on where you had to get the Hoyer
Yeah.
lift, because I
Well,
think that's really interesting.
you know, I thought it was just limited to vehicle travel, or I right now I can't even get up into RVs or campers because there's no lift for me.
Hmm.
Right? There's, unless that camper has one. So we're still in the vehicle, but the main thing is we said, oh, well, why don't we research traveling by ship? Take a cruise. So I contacted the Gleason Foundation and they said, look, we're using this travel agent, and I'd be glad to give you her
Yeah,
name.
we'll put her in the comments
Yeah.
too.
And I called her, and the travel agent, she says, I said, look, I'm in a power wheelchair. I can't do anything. I just want to go on a cruise. She said, have no worries. My husband was in a power wheelchair for 18 years before he died, and that's all we did. That's all we did. We traveled, and that's why
They
I'm a travel.
cruised.
Oh, they cruised, they flew, they went everywhere.
Oh,
They even went
wow.
over to Europe. And the thing is that they did it all while he was in a power wheelchair.
Hmm.
Well, see, I'm still learning some of those tricks from her, but I've been on 4 cruises now, and she booked everyone and made sure that I had all of my equipment at the ship that I needed. And everyone's different. You may not need a Hoyer lift to get you out of the chair and into the bed or into the shower or whatever. If you don't, that's fine. But if you do need one, she'll take care of it for you. She even has contacts on the various islands where While you're cruising, you've already made that contact, and they're waiting for you with a vehicle that has a wheelchair lift in it.
I was gonna ask that.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
when you get off the stops on the cruise, like, they're
I would be
scheduled
able to,
if you wanted to.
if I wanted to, be able to hook up with these people that are ready for me.
And what about just cruising around the ship? Do you
That's
have a
the fun
certain
part.
is it? You're
Oh,
just,
yeah.
like, power cruising everywhere? Like
Uh, there's not a place on the ship that I can't go. Well, I
wow.
say that in one ship, we booked a dinner one night for sushi,
Mhm.
and just the two of us. We were celebrating our anniversary, and we rolled in to the restaurant, and I said, "Okay, we're here." He says, "Well, it, two steps up, and you're right there at the table." I said, "You don't understand. I can't walk." And he
Can't do the
says,
2 steps.
"Well, you just get out of your chair and take two little steps." I said, "You really don't understand. I can't move out of this chair." And he says, "Well, sir, we're not able to. We'd be glad to send it to your room." That's what he said.
Okay.
I said, "No, that's not the ambience we want.
How
It's
are the, accessible rooms?
they're fantastic."
But not something you wanna eat a meal in?
Oh, yeah, but it was our anniversary, so we
Yeah.
wanted to be sitting at a table,
Fancy.
fancy, which I can
Yeah.
go to every table in this ship.
Okay.
I just wanted sushi that night, so we didn't have it that night. We made other arrangements, but finally, I think we found a little sushi, little smaller restaurant that had the high top tables.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm good at high top
You are good
tables.
at high top, yeah.
My chair goes up and down, so
Yeah, how high does your chair?
it goes up to a 6 foot person's eyesight. So I
Whoa,
can have a rolling conversation with person, so they won't be looking down on me. So, it's something to
that's
have.
amazing. Okay.
But anyway, back to the cruise. Uh, I can move all around the cruise up on the decks. We use the elevators, obviously, and
What if it gets rough?
I don't haven't felt any roughness yet in 4 cruises. These
Wow.
ships are big enough that we use Royal Caribbean. Matter of fact, in November, I'm going on a Norwegian cruise line.
Are
We're
you?
going to try that ship out, and I think,
And then you're gonna let us know how it
oh,
is?
absolutely, I'll let you
What
know
do you think
every
the
detail.
difference is gonna be between Norwegian and
Well, one, the size of
Royal?
the ship versus what I've used to at Royal Caribbean. I'm expecting the same quality service that these ships give. I mean, it's a place to go. It's an outlet. The ship is being used as a transportation mode
Mhm.
with entertainment to go to another place you haven't been. You know what I'm saying? And get off the ship and you just roll around, stay off the beaches. Sometimes you get stuck,
Yeah.
but they've got mostly sidewalks.
Yeah, we're working on the
Yeah,
balloon wheels for you, right?
yeah, yeah. Somebody's got to pedal it for me, though.
True.
Y'all didn't forget,
Yeah.
you forgot about that.
Well, there's lots of inventions that people need to create.
Oh
And
yeah,
do you remember that I went to school for this? Do you remember that I went to school for rec therapy?
I remember the rec therapy.
Yeah. And so, the first 2 years of college really suck because you're just doing classes that you don't really like.
Yeah.
And then, which is what I'm trying to tell Jules about, right? Because she's in that first 2 years and it's accounting and oceanography and Spanish and things that, are not really her peak interest.
Right.
But by my junior year, I wanted to do physical therapy, but I ended up going into rec therapy with people with disabilities and worked like, skiing, rollerblading,
Mountaineering and stuff like that, I believe
mountaineering.
you're
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
All the fun stuff outdoors. So, but you're in a different situation with ALS because, with a lot of things that we learned about, people still had they had full access of the limbs that they did have.
Yes.
And you don't have that right now.
I have none.
And that's been what, a few years, maybe
Yeah, 2 to 3 now,
2 to 3 now. Yeah. So
possibly 4.
it even requires more creative abilities to try and invent some of the things that you need, for to have fun outdoors. Like, have you found yourself needing to be like more creative for you to enjoy life more?
Well, things are out there that I didn't realize that they had. Like, I really want to not yet. In my previous home, we had a pool. Well, I don't have one in this home that I created. Actually, I I drew up the design, gave it to an architect, and we built this accessible home for me that has no step up walks, and my bathroom is strictly ADA and has plenty of accessibility with it for the shower and the toilet and everything. And that's something that we can discuss at a later point of the needs of a home.
Yeah, because your home
And
has.
what's out there. I'm all set in my home.
Yeah.
With a power wheelchair, you have to have a little bit wider hallways and doorways.
Yeah.
I think you're running across that problem now for me getting into your home.
Yeah, I measured last night, which is why we're doing
Yeah.
the podcast in your kitchen.
I
But
need 36-inch doors to go through, not 30s.
36, yeah.
You
We
know?
had a 30 and a 32.
Yeah, 32, I'm just about there.
Okay, so see, it's all these little things. And then what about like when you park in the handicap spot? What did y'all learn
Whew,
about the
boy, is that a problem.
we
Eh,
don't think it's a big deal, but it
what
is a big deal for you.
the ADA, and that's Americans with Disabilities, they have an act, the ADA Act.
Yeah.
I think it was started back in 1990, which directed their focus on persons with disabilities. Now, disabilities are all kinds. People with my type of disability, then you've got people that are hearing or sight impaired, and people that walk out, can only walk with canes, and people pushing walkers around. They all have their own disability, but what's out there is being abused. I find abuse of the green, excuse me, what I say green, I don't know, of the blue disability markers for parking. I mean, that's a big peeve of mine because people that have disability stickers on their cars, a lot of them are not that person driving that car. Does that make
Yeah, it
sense?
does. But I also think that yeah, there's some abuse out there, but I think mainly and one of the big reasons why we do this, right? Why we talk is because people just don't know.
I know they don't.
They really just are not educated in that because a lot of people like you said, they'll just be at home in their wheelchair. They won't go out,
Right,
right? Much less travel or do other things. They're just at home.
right.
So we really do need to spread the word,
Yeah,
right?
that's true, and we'll use this platform to do it a little bit. The two blue lines out there in front of a restaurant that has blue lines on the side of it that are uh, diagonal.
Mhm.
That's only for, or should be only for, vans or people that need, like, you have a disabled person that has a hard time walking, but they need room to get out with their walker or their
Yeah.
stroller or
Mhm.
whatever they've got there. They need extra room, so that's why the blue stripes are there next to the handicap stripes that the car fits into. It's kind of hard to describe out
Yeah, so
loud.
you're basically parking and then you need to leave those blue stripes for the apparatus,
Yeah, it's
right?
like a 5 foot wide width on the side of the vehicle. So my ramp can go down, and so I can exit out that way. But inevitably, there are a lot of people that just park in those blue
Yeah, I
stripes.
used to be one of them because and
You
even
didn't know, I'm
I didn't
sure.
know because I thought like you only needed space for the car and you're like, "Oh, I'm just running in to get one thing."
That's right.
Right? So it's always just running in to do
Well,
one
then
thing
old pops comes by and
and
he
you
needs
can't get
that
out.
space. I can't even get in. I can pull in, but can't
You
get
can't get
out of
out.
it. So be aware of that,
Yeah, share the story
share.
around.
That's right.
And then I like Granny's new sticker she put on your it says, "Please do not park within 8 feet."
8 feet.
Okay,
And
so
I've
that's
actually
really,
had
really
a
neat.
number of people pull up beside me, look at that sticker and go, oops, sorry,
Oh,
and back out.
okay, good. So we
Yeah,
need more stickers.
because I was inside the vehicle at the time. They didn't know it, but
Oh,
it
that's
happened.
funny.
It's happened a couple of times.
Okay.
But yeah, just be aware. I mean, if you only see two blue lines, one on each side of your vehicle, that's just for you if you don't need assistance getting out to the side,
Yeah.
such as with a walker or, a stroller or something like that. Use that, but don't use the one with the stripes if you don't need any room, basically, other than getting your body out of the car. Uh, don't use that space. Somebody else that has a need with extra equipment, they'll use that space.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good lesson. Okay. Well, let's talk about all your little trinkets that I think is really helpful just in day to day living. Okay. Like I'm looking and you have a 12-inch straw sticking out of your coffee.
Oh yeah.
And do you find, because you need more, you can just kind of bend over and drink the coffee instead of lifting up the mug and bringing it to
Well,
your lips.
if the mug is too heavy, I'm not able to lift it. So I've got various straws that I've ordered from Amazon
Okay.
that are really cheap, and these are metal straws with a rubber end on them, and they go from 6 inches. I've got plastic straws that go up to 3 feet. So if I want to
Wow.
put my drink on the floor,
You could
I
reach.
could reach. Yeah, absolutely, and it's good in a parade or something like that. But every time I do have a cup holder on my wheelchair that holds my cell phone also, but not
That's
all
smart.
cups fit it. So the good part is I can put a cup that fits in there and then use my straw for the other length, so I don't have to bend over or try and pick that cup up out of my cup holder. I think it's just a gadget,
Yeah,
but
little
I'm a
gadgets.
gadget man.
Yeah, I mean, you have a giant Yeti in front of us. Is that yours or Granny's?
Well, that's Granny's, but
It fits
it
in your
will
well.
fit in my cup holder,
That's what it looks
and
like.
I've got one in the back that was given to me that, will hold a real big cup, but I have a straw that goes up the back of my wheelchair and into my mouth, and
Wow.
I can just
Okay.
kinda discard it over to the side. It kinda fits over my shoulder, and so I can take sips of water all day long.
So, what about the fact that you get stuff to decorate your wheelchair now for your birthday and Christmas? And does that make you happy or does that offend you?
No, I'm not offendable anymore. That's not even the right word to say, but you can't offend me anymore.
Yeah. So,
I'm used to it all.
LSU,
Well,
Saints,
yeah,
what are some of the teams on your wheelchair?
I'm just LSU and Saints, and but my wheelchair I did have when I ordered my chair from Permobil. I got colors, purple and gold, and because I am a LSU fan, but my fenders and my wheels are all purple and gold, and it just gives me a little satisfaction. I'm out there going for my team. I'll put some stickers on. This is my second chair now. I actually donated my chair to another couple that 2 sons had MS,
Oh, wow.
and we just happened to meet while I was servicing my wheelchair at a dealership,
Your van.
servicing my van, and I rolled in with my wheelchair and met this wonderful couple, and we got to talking, and I learned of their troubles, not troubles,
Just life.
just
Life
life.
circumstances that
2
are not,
boys with MS, I mean,
yeah,
that's
that's
tough,
not ideal. No,
and
it's very tough.
so I said, "Look, I think the Lord led us here to meet each other and all that good stuff. I do have a good power wheelchair. Would you like to have it?" Oh, man, I thought they would hit the floor, but that's what they've been wanting for a long time, so
Oh,
yeah.
divine
Yeah,
intervention.
I'm telling you. And so we have a happy family that's able to get their son out into their. He's got nice property, so they roll around the property in the wheelchair and up
Okay.
and down the street that has no traffic. I tell you what, it's a blessing, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, at least that's sweet.
Yeah.
And wheelchairs are reusable if you don't wear them down, right?
Yes,
And there's several companies out there, but what was yours that you
mine
ordered
was
it from?
Permobil
Permabil. Okay.
or Permobile, as
Oh,
some people say.
Permobile.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, either one.
yeah,
Right.
but I have set my wheelchair up to just trying to think of things, people. You have to be just always thinking and creative. But I was able to actually the VA helped me with a smart home where my side door, my front door, I'm able to open them through my wheelchair using my switch. From there, I mean,
What about TV? Do you have to do that with your eyes or do you still do it with your remote?
I TVs I use Alexa,
Alexa. Okay.
yeah, and Echo,
Mm-hmm.
and to opening they also can open and close my doors, and they can lock the doors. See there, I got you can hear Alexa now. Say,
Uh
I'm not sure I can help you with that, but and the lights in the house, I just made it easy for me and my family, so that if we had an emergency, and I'm not by myself all the time, or anytime really, but if we did have an emergency, I'd be able to open that door and get out.
Well, you have had a couple of emergencies. So I think the big emergencies have been eye openers for you, huh? Yeah, you had an emergency when you fell through the camper stairs.
Well, yeah, that
Remember
was
that?
just yeah, I did.
That was
Well, that
very,
was in the very beginning of my diagnosis.
yeah, but that's a crucial
It
stage
is.
because a lot of us, like when you're going through these stages of life, I think a lot of it is denial, right? Because we don't want to say, like, oh, yes, I have this diagnosis or I have this disease or I need this assistant or I have to ask for help or I need someone to help me in this time of need. I mean, that's why I said, do you ever get offended or has your ego been shifted? Because it really does take a lot of energy to ask for help, a lot.
Yes, it does,
From
Will.
someone that was strong and independent,
Oh,
takes one to know one.
it does, but sometimes you gotta, sometimes you have to lay that aside and realize that people will help. They're glad to help,
Mhm.
and if I can make it easier for them, to give them suggestions nicely, they'll. I mean,
But what about, like, firefighters, 911? I mean, I remember the firefighters helping you a time or 2.
yeah. Well, that's in the my early diagnosis.
Mhm.
I was able to move around a little bit. I was able to walk. This was before a wheelchair, and but in getting in and out of my camper, it was okay. I mean, I was able to do that, and then I would fall inside the camper for no
Mhm.
reason,
Yeah.
or I was having trouble going upstairs. Steps were just. I kept saying, "Well, I'm just getting, I'm older now, and I'm just going to be weaker, and I'll accept that." But that's not me, So I think when I was trying to carry a 5-gallon gas can after mowing the lawn, I couldn't pick the darn thing up. Or when I could budge it a little bit, I could only go about a foot. And I said, "Gee, something's wrong." And then that's when
You got tested?
I got tested. So
And did it happen over a couple year time period?
yeah, it just slow for
Slowly.
me.
Yeah.
I've got a little mix of progressive muscular atrophy,
Mhm.
which deteriorates my muscles, and I didn't know that, but
That's what they called it,
that's what they called it,
PMA.
PMA, to go along with the ALS. So they're all connected, and it's all about the motor neurons and stuff. So I just had to figure out what's coming first,
Yeah.
So we prepared, and here we are, just looking for ideas to further. I mean, I'm all about living longer. I'm 78. I'd like to go at least till 88. You think I
Yeah.
can get there, Lil?
10 years? How many machines are keeping you alive right now?
Well, no machines per se. I do have a little breathing machine,
Yeah,
but
tell us what
but
you use at night
at nighttime I only use a breathing machine. It's called an IVAP,
instead
and
of a CPAP?
instead of a CPAP, but it has the capability of switching to it if you want to do it. Mine just goes in a little further deeper, deeper into the lungs, and just helps me breathe better. I only have a 54% lung usage.
54.
Oh,
Wow.
and then we
Okay.
measure that every 3 months.
And does it go down every 3 months?
Well, hopefully not.
No, but I mean, so far, has it been going down?
Of the last
Or has it
2
gone up?
sessions of, with 3-month intervals, I'm staying at 54.
Okay, so you're holding strong.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this, and you probably don't remember
Mm.
this, so we can tell you maybe for the first time. But I remember in your 60s, which is so young if you think about it
Oh,
now,
yeah.
right? I remember in your 60s, you would say out loud that you were good to live until 70. That you would say that out loud, and I remember you'd be like, "That's good. I've lived a great life. 70's good. I'd be happy to die at 70. I've done everything I wanted to do." Well, I would go home every time you would say that and cry.
Oh, I didn't know that, but
Yeah, and I would go home and cry, and I would tell, my people, like, "Why is dad saying that?" And I would just be grieving. I think I grieved for probably 5 years and just cried every time he would say that. I just didn't understand. Now I do, but I didn't understand then why you would say something like that, and then you were diagnosed around 68, I believe, which, is really the part that gets me jazzed because our words manifest our pure reality.
Right.
And so you were kind of unconscious that you were prepping everybody for your death at 70. But now you know because I just told you that story. But now you're saying out loud that you want to live another 10 years. So there's no doubt in my mind that if you could get a diagnosis before you were 70 and you manifested that for 10 years, then it would be easy living for another 10 years with the same intention. See, now you had like a I'm ready to go intention, and now you have I'm ready to live intention. Maybe I'm putting that together for
Well,
you for
ready
the
to
first
go and
time.
ready to live are basically the same thing. What you didn't know is that my father died at 55 and my mother at 60.
Mm.
So here I was, 40s, saying, I'm not even going to get past 55.
Because that's what they told you, right? If your dad died early,
Oh,
you died
yeah.
early.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just that was my thinking.
Yeah.
And so I reached 55 and I said, oh, well, okay. Well, if I'm good at 60, I'm okay. I got to 60. But the thing is that when I got first diagnosed, and they tell you that you have, ALS or PMA or whatever it is, what's your first question? How long, how long I got, doc?
Right. You want someone to tell you how long you're gonna
Yeah,
live.
well, my doctor did. He pulled a business type card, the size of a business card, out of his pocket. And on one side, it had a picture of a hourglass. And he says, only time will tell. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, well, he told me, the average is 3 to 5 years is what you
Right,
got,
that's the
or
ALS
at the
average.
most, maybe 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, okay, only time will tell. Okay, doc. And
Could
then
be
he
3.
flips the card over
Uh-huh.
and it's got a picture of God. And he says, and only God knows. Time will tell, and
And
only
only God
God knows.
knows. So
So that
true.
kind of down. It set me down right there. And so I really didn't think about the 3 to 5 or 5 to 10. I just said, oh, I'd like to get to 60. So 60 turned into 70, and now 70's turned into 78. And, I really think it's positive attitude. And I really feel that I have a great attitude.
So do you feel if you feel you do have a
If
great
you're down in the
attitude.
dumps, you're going to be down in the dumps, and you're going to have, I feel, total life because you're
Right.
giving up.
Basically said you were ready to go by 70 and now you're ready to live. So do you feel like that your kind of bummer attitude brought you your diagnosis, or do you think God did? Or do you think that going down now you're headed towards 88, 10 years down the road? Do you think God's going to bring you that, or do you believe that your positive vibes are going to bring you that? Your positive thinking.
Well, the Lord's in control of my life. So if he wants me to go tomorrow, I'm ready. If he wants me to go in 10 years, I'm ready. If he's, going to let me go, maybe he's got me here for a purpose, right?
Oh,
So
definitely.
the thing is that I can't even answer that question without saying only God knows.
And only
And,
time will tell.
and only time will tell. So with those two in mind, let's get positive thinking going and let's figure out anything that I can do that I can have fun with and maybe touch someone's life
And I would like to make
and
a
help somebody.
request
Yeah.
that we have some more people in our lives that help us invent the things that you think would be cool to extend the fun and travel and enjoying life, right? We need like some engineers and some people that have access to, some things so we can build the little Hoyer lift that's going to take you around the
Right.
world, and not
Well,
just for you but for
well, I'm
others.
engaged with others like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've already mentioned the Gleason Foundation. They're
And they
very
help
inventive.
a lot.
They know about the computers. The VA is just through their social services, through their PTs and OTs involved. They are very inventive. Christy LaCroix, my travel agent, she is extremely inventive in telling me what I can do and what I need to try and do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she's not saying you can't do it. Christy's never told me I can't do it. We're going to find something, whether and one of my challenges now is to find a train that has a lift from the ground up into the train and find a train that has a wider,
Bathroom.
those rooms are tiny
I
from what
know.
I've seen
Right. I
on
wonder
TV.
if that
And
train would even do
I
that.
do a lot of YouTubing, uh, searching for various ways to tackle a train. I want to go to Europe. Well, my travel agent says, you can do it. My son says, you can do it. So now we're figuring out ways to do it. I can,
Well, look, just as your daughter, okay, nothing to do with the power chair or you
yeah.
or anything. Europe's tough because of
Well,
the,
you've been there, you know.
the flight is the shortest one I think is 9 hours,
Yeah.
and that's a long time to sit even for able-bodied.
Those are challenges that we'll have to
Cross when you get there.
cross when we really develop the process to really do it all. And I just met a guy the other day at CSC, excuse me, CMS fabrication. Uh, he was in a wheelchair and he just got back from a trip where he had flown. And I said, "Oh my goodness gracious,
You wanna fly.
I want to fly."
Yeah.
But then he told me the way they do it, what
Yeah.
airlines that are very helpful, which ones
Which one
are
can't?
just not versed
Right,
into,
not yet.
not yet.
Not
So
yet.
we're working on that,
Yeah.
and that'll be some information for me to give out when I have
Okay.
enough to talk about, I guess.
Well, Pops, I think that we have given a lot of tips today.
We've covered a lot of areas for sure, with not
Mention
a whole lot of information, but enough to,
this is a lot of information. But
yeah,
see, you have to remember, like, for you sharing it, it's
that's hard.
you've been in it for 10 years,
Yeah.
right? So it doesn't feel like a lot for you, but just to get somebody on a cruise, even if, this message from you gets someone on a cruise to see the world, to feel inspired, to feel alive again, you've made a difference.
Yes. Hopefully.
Yeah. And get someone out of their house, outside, enjoying nature, seeing the birds. I mean, I've seen a lot of what you've done around the house. You've added bird feeders, you have plants, you have peppers and tomatoes, and what else did you grow this year? Avocados,
Yep.
pineapples,
Satsumas, you name it.
satsumas. I mean,
We're trying it all.
you've been busy.
I have. And
And
so is my wife.
yes, the mat. Well,
Because I don't have the capability of picking the peppers or,
but she
but
is
I
a
can
master.
water. Yeah.
You can water,
Yeah.
and she also is a master gardener.
She's got a great green thumb.
She really does. So it's amazing.
And
And
you too, by the way.
yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Yeah, my cucumbers were good this year. My peppers. Chad told me that maybe the squash bug is eating my peppers. This is the first time I've ever even heard of a squash bug. I have to do some
Yep.
research. And they're actually eating the branches with the peppers on them. So I'm not sure we're going to have enough peppers for pepper jelly this
Wow.
year.
Uh-oh. That's a problem.
It is a
Well,
problem.
just lucky for you, I do have 4 quart bags of Tabascos and
Oh,
Poblamos,
yeah,
whatever you say.
poblanos.
Yeah, Poblanos.
Yes, I love
So we can
this.
make pepper jelly. I
Okay.
also have pickles ready to do too. So
Ooh, see, he pickles too.
yeah.
I mean, I want to do so. Our next podcast, I want to do some pickling,
Oh,
and then you'll have a report back maybe from another one of your adventures,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then, is there anything that we forgot?
I don't think so, but if we have forgotten something and
Okay.
your listeners are interested in a certain area, contact you. You can tell them how to do that.
Well, what about contacting you?
Well, they can contact me too.
Okay.
Mm,
I think that's where we'll leave it.
yeah.
I think if you have any
I tell you what, why don't I interrupt you
yeah.
and just give out my email address?
Well, I'll put it in the notes.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
I'll put it in the
All right.
notes,
They
and
can
that way
email me and
you can
I'll respond.
email Pops for any advice that you may need of the things that he uses, certain
Yep.
chairs, decorations, the Gleason
Sure.
Foundation, the VA, his contacts at the cruise, anybody that will make your life better. And you can email him and obviously email me, and I'll get you in touch with him either way.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm willing to do that for sure.
And it's been a pleasure having you on.
Well, hell, since this is our first time, I'm having a great time. I'm
See,
looking
it's
forward to
fun.
something else again.
Okay, good. Well, we're taking my past and your present and bringing it together to help more people.
Yes.
And I think the Gleason Foundation said they help over 20,000 families a year.
Yeah.
It could be more, but I think that's what I remember from the big event. So definitely reach out to Pops or me or Team Gleason and get out there and travel, right?
Travel, live life.
Live life, because
It
only
doesn't do you
time will
any good.
tell
That's right.
and only God knows.
And with that, We're out of here.
All right, Sat Nam.
Satnam.